in the next few minutes. We're going to tell you all about how to win a Global Digital Excellence Award. So make yourself comfy, grab your favourite Friday night beverage if you're in Europe, or your favourite lunchtime beverage if you're over the other side of the Atlantic. And if you're speaking to us from the Far East, well done for staying up this long. And we'll be starting off in a couple of minutes when everyone else arrives. Quite a few people to arrive just yet.
And of course, we're going to give you tips and information about more than just the one award. You'll be able to use these nuggets of information no matter what award you decide to enter. So
Absolutely.
If it's the US Search Awards, or we've got the deadline coming up very, very soon for the Global Search Awards, which is also one to get your entry in for soon.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's kick off. Thank you for those joining us. I'm sure more people will join us on the way. So let's have a look at what our agenda is today. I'm going to introduce you to our esteemed panel. We've got some goals we want to get through tonight. We've got two important pieces of news, very quick piece of news about the SAS Roundtable and Upload Search Conference. We're going to talk about the makeup of an award. So we're going to look at each of the awards, and then there's some specifics about each category that are worth looking at. And I'm going to constantly be badgering Judith and Alida for their insight and their thoughts of having seen hundreds and hundreds of entries. So that's very exciting. And we've got plenty of time for questions at the end. So ask us anything. We want to help you win. We want to see really great entries, and we want to see a real winner coming forward. So I'm Dave Edmondson-Bird. I'm Principal Lecturer in Digital Marketing at Manchester Metropolitan University. Ladies, would you like to introduce yourself? Judith?
Sure. I'm Judith Lewis. I'm the founder and CEO of Decabit Consultancy, consulting across digital channels.
Fantastic. And Alida, tell us all about you.
Yes, I am an international SEO consultant and also founder of my own SEO consultancy. And what I do for a living is mostly doing SEO consultancy for big type of brands. And also at the same time, I tend to also speak at many conferences at an ongoing basis, although at this point, because of the coronavirus, it is mainly online conferences and not so many from all over the world. So yes, I have also quite a bit of experience being a judge in the European Search Awards, UK Search Awards, US Search Awards too. So I have seen many all sort of entries, and I'm very looking forward also to share with you today a few tips of how you can format and make your entry highly attractive to win all the awards.
Fantastic. So two proper professionals, and then me as a hanger-on. I'm going to try and drive these excellent professionals forward with us today. So why I don't panic putting this all together? Well, the landscape's changing quite dramatically at the moment, as everyone on the planet knows, and it's brought a halt to the sort of traditional awards thing. So actually we all believe don't panic, and all of the judges think that actually we need to be shouting even louder about the amazing work that's going on all over the planet. So here's an opportunity for us to connect virtually, to learn virtually, and to celebrate virtually, which is what the awards are about. So it's a great opportunity that's coming forward, that we are going to change the way we do things. And so we've got a couple of things to tell you before that. So there's some news first of all. The first thing I want to just let everyone into is that Don't Panic are putting on the SAS Roundtable. Social distance does not mean no networking. So here's a chance to network with some of the leading professionals in the top 100 SaaS companies, and to hear about the results of Don't Panic's HubSpot survey that 20,000 people have been involved in, and there's some live polls and Q&A. Please apply for your place on a SAS Roundtable networking events through the link here, which is bit.ly/virtual SAS. I created that link. I can't believe it hadn't already been taken. So it's up to Don't Panic to try and buy that off me now. And the other thing that's worth knowing is the Upload Search conference, which is being brought to you by the team behind SaaSCon and delivered by Don't Panic Events. So we're having a virtual conference. It's going to be the most amazing thing ever. That's on Thursday, the 25th of June, between 10 and 4 p.m. British summertime. There's going to be 2 keynote speakers. Those people are going to be announced very, very soon, and 5 content streams curated by some of the most amazing professionals in that area. And there's a virtual pub, the Upload Tavern, running throughout the day to allow proper networking to take place. So please, again, have a look at the information that's coming out about that. That site was launched only yesterday, so it's bit.ly Upload Conf. And obviously we'll be sharing lots of these details through Don't Panic's social media accounts, so you'll be able to find out how to find that about that very soon. So on with the business. Our learning outcomes today is we want you to know as an audience what we're looking for as judges in the Global Digital Excellence Awards. We want you to be able to complete your entries satisfactorily, and we want you to improve your chances of not only being shortlisted but actually winning one of the Global Digital Excellence Awards. So first thing that's worth knowing is that all of the judges, we do this so often on many of the awards that we run, is we sign up to an NDA and we don't disclose the contents of any entries to anyone else. It stays within the firm. We do not accept bribes or money. Thank you for trying, but unfortunately I am far more expensive than that, and each of the judges has a reputation to uphold. So you can't buy an award through sponsorship, you can't win your way to the top through money, and judges themselves are not allowed to enter. So we are judges, we stay over the right side of the fence from people who want to enter, and we have a very strict code of ethics that we adhere to that's been built up over a long time. And so it's you do not have to worry about entering this. Things will be managed correctly. I've got a reputation to uphold, so is Judith, so is Aleda, and every one of the judges find their reputation is more important than anything else. So let's have a think about what goes on in all entries. So there are sections about objectives and budgets, and Judith, you've got a point to make about how many points might be awarded to sections on objectives and budgets.
So this is a 10-point section, and each of the different entries will probably have this. And as it's marks out of 10, you want to make sure that you're concise. You'll see later that there are better places to invest your word budget because you do have a 1,000-word limit, but this should be concise. It should include a budget with actual numbers. It should have an absolute set of SMART objectives, which means real numbers, not percentages.
Absolutely. And one of the worst things you can do is not put anything in. We will take points away.
I want to make a real important point around that, indeed, because in not a trivial number of entries I have seen in the past that this is left empty or not clear enough. So this is very important, because how are we going to be able to assess the success of a process or a campaign? It is to validate that against the objectives, and also taking into consideration the resources available, the constraints available, right? So it's very important that this is very specific and that show the how many resources you had, what were the specific type of goals that you were trying to achieve, or that you achieve, of course, to show very clearly that you succeeded, and how much did it take for you in order to achieve those results. This is critical.
Absolutely.
To put everything else in context, right?
Absolutely. Oh, well, I think it's time to teach grandma to suck eggs, because there is a view that with objectives we have a proper campaign, and that we are looking for best practice at a global level. So we want to see what is the best in the world. So the first thing is if there is a question about objectives in your category, tell us, are they business objectives, marketing objectives, or communications objectives? Make it clear. I'm the bore that wrote the book, so I am definitely going to be the person who's saying, what is this? I cannot see what this is. And they should be really clear, they should be singular, and most of all, they should be measurable. We should be able to tell whether they can be achieved. So a quick reminder to those of you who thinking, how do I write these again? Well, if it's a business objective, it should be about what the organization needs to achieve as a result of this activity. So it's what's our goal as an organization. So we might be talking about organizational goals. We're thinking about things that are long term. They may well be connected to your organization's vision or your mission. They may be a very big corporate one, or it might be a business unit level objective, but tell us that that's what it is that you're trying to achieve. If it's a marketing objective, it's about the strategic thrust for a plan, or a plan for a product or service. So is it about moving into new markets? Is it about developing the product? Is it about penetrating the market even further? Is it about developing the market from a very immature market? Is it about building and holding? Probably in this case, it's not about moving out of a marketplace, but make it clear what it is your marketing is trying to achieve. If it's a comms objective, it's about a specific change of circumstance or a change of behavior by using communications with a certain target audience. And that might relate to words like acquiring or converting or retaining. So we might be thinking about goals that are to do with a sales funnel. So down a different level, but make it clear if that is what the objective is. So we're keen to see from entrants people who make sure that they have objectives, and that also that they've identified key performance indicators that are set in advance of the activity taking place. And if you think, oh God, does anyone do this? Yes, companies and organizations that seem to keep winning these awards and keep doing really well on a global scale in business seem to be the ones who say, what is it we're trying to do? We're trying to find that activity. We're trying to see that happen. So we need those objectives and KPIs, because later on, when you're asked to tell us, did it work? You'll be referring back to these KPIs. And I think, Judith and Aleda, you are so angry when you can't tell whether in the evaluation of success, it has anything to do with what the organization set off to do. Judith, tell us about that. Why does that
Absolutely. Well, I've always banged on about objectives matching results. But if you create objectives that don't actually are not measurable, that don't have any specific meaning to an organization's bottom line, then why have you done it? Just for the fun of it? You just thought you'd throw 25,000 euros against the wall and see if it stuck? There's no point to that, and the business doesn't benefit from it. It might look great, but it doesn't do good work. And I'm sure Aleda feels the same way.
100%. I completely agree, especially when we, for example, some of those type of categories that are more specialized, right? Lean building campaigns. Of course, I want to see metrics related to links, but then I am very interested to see the impact in the bottom line, from an ROI perspective, from a traffic, from a conversion. So it's very, very important that indeed we want to show the metrics that are very related to the specific discipline or area that we are working on. But if you really want to show the impact of your work or how awesome it has been and how outstanding it is critical that you show the even more, right? Indeed, that was a good job. You earn like the specific tactics, you implemented the tactics and reached the specific objective that you had. But from a broader type of perspective, it's critical that you show how impactful, how important it was from a business perspective.
Absolutely. And one of the questions that often comes up in judging sessions, when it's difficult to tell one entry from another, when somebody will say, which is the one that made the money? Did they set out to do that in the first instance? So, in many cases, this is about making money. Not for all cases, of course, but it is often about generating actual revenue. So please bear that in mind if it's a goal to have. Okay, so why do we ask about budget? Because we want to see whether the bangs per buck are equitable. So somebody might have a $100 budget and somebody else has a $3 million budget. We want to see whether there is a kind of fairness here that we can see. So it's really important to put that budget in. And quite a lot of people put entries and say, well, we can't tell you what the budget is. It's confidential. And we go, we can't let you in because we don't know if yours is, a fair entry compared to someone else. So make sure you put the budget in, break it down into the different elements that are involved in this job, the different activities, the different investments that you have to make, investments in people's time as well as media buy, things like that. And if you brought assets from outside, tell us what the value of those is, because lots of entries say, yeah, we did this for free because we were doing the work. We go, no, there is a cost. There's a human cost. Let us know what share of a cost this takes so we can see the true value. Nothing is ever free. So please make sure, folks, that you do let us know the budget that comes through for this. Right, let's get down to some of the specific awards. So we're going to look at campaign awards and site awards. So for campaign awards, there are 27 categories. So there are plenty of opportunities to enter a very specialist entry in here. I won't go through all of them right now, but they all follow the same sort of pattern. And with our site awards, we've got 7 categories. And again, following the same sort of pattern. It's fundamentally about putting forward a case for something. Now, it's worth thinking at this point, Judith, how many sort of points do we get for things like target audience and so on? And what sort of points do we get for each of the categories in this?
So for campaign and site awards, there are an amazing 50 points that are up available for grabs. The 50 points come from objectives. We've already talked about 10 points, but then strategy and target audience, which means we actually need to know who you're aiming at for 1 to 10 points. Implementation and creativity, where I always recommend you put most of your words. That's 1 to 10 points. We've got results and evaluation. So remember, if your objectives don't match your results, that's 20 points you stand to lose, because results and evaluation are 1 to 10 points. And why do you think your entry should win is also 1 to 10 points. So that's your 50 points up for grabs. I feel like a game show host. And now back to you.
Fantastic. So the point of this category is to reward high achievement for work. So we want people to really make it clear how their work is best practice, how it really achieves the high things. So for target audience and strategy, we really need to know who that target audience is. Who is this campaign aimed at? Who is this site for? We need to see tightly defined audiences, not very vague, anyone age 20 to 55. I mean, that encompasses so many people. So think about the kind of award you're entering. Give consideration to things like behavioral targets or geolocational or even psychographic quality style targets. Maybe think about personas that you used in advance of putting the campaign together. And with that strategy, make it clear what the strategy for reaching that audience is. It's a roadmap. It's not tell us how you did it on a day-to-day basis, but what was the big plan? What was the route to the target? And what stages did you have to go through so that you would achieve those objectives? So it's very important that that's really clear. Judith, now you think this section's really important, implementation and creativity. Tell us a bit about what you think you like to see here.
I think because the objectives and results should really be bullet pointed to make it easier for judges to assess, because don't forget, we are rating 65, 70, 80. At times I've had to judge over 100 entries, not any fault of my own, just because I'm stupid and volunteer to help. But it's where I think that you inspire us as judges. This is your opportunity to say, this is how we did what we did. This is how we made the magic happen. With the target audience, we understand who you're targeting, but this is where we understand what it is. So we want you to inspire us. We've not been sitting over your shoulder looking at you doing this day to day. We need you to bring us into that environment and inspire us with how you came up with your ideas or what ideas you had. Don't go into too much depth. You've only got 1,000 words overall, but help bring us into your minds as you thought about this incredible creative design or creative implementation or creative piece of content for your client, and then how you went about executing it in as concise but still rich way as possible. You can embed you can embed images and graphs. You can point us to videos. I would recommend that this is the place where you put you put a lot of your effort, because why we should win, that's going to be a short one-liner. Your objectives, results, bullet points. Your target audience should be tight around your psychographic data. This is your opportunity to bring us in and make it shine.
And I really emphasize it really has to shout to us. Tell us what you did that's going to make me think, wow, that's different. I have never heard of that before. Or
what
wow,
I will add is that besides describe to show us. I love to see screenshots. I love to see examples of the actual ads that were created, of graphics, of the actual graph that shows the growth, to make an impact on us too, right? So it's very, very important that it's very, very well documented, right? To show all the to attach all the documentation, so it is very easy to grasp, to see the evolution, to see the impact that it has had, and especially how it is different, how it is unique, because remember that it's not about only the implementation, but the creativity about it, because of course, we are all in the business to make results here. So in general, we should be achieving growth or the objective that we set, but realistically, how your entry is the best, how it differentiates from anything else. So I think that is critical here to show what makes it super unique.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I would say, make it really clear how you did it. What were the tactics you used? Make it really clear. Because if we have to dig to find it, we're going, I can't see it. But that creativity thing is really important. Some of these entries, perhaps outsiders don't see that there is a creative element to things like pay-per-click, but we know that there are things that people do that are magical, and we want to see that brought out, because you want to tell people that this is the most amazing thing that we should do. You know, these are really, really great ideas. So look for things that are new and different, either in the world or certainly perhaps in the industry or sector that you are operating in. Now, Aleida, I know you're really keen on looking at results, and I know you, Judith, are very keen on evaluation, but this is really important. It's that follow-up to that very first question about objectives, isn't it? What is it you want to achieve? So this section must be about, did you win? Did you get where you said, and you told your clients or you told your organization, this is where we were going to get to? So we want to see those results. So what do you look for in this section, Judith?
I'm looking for, first of all, they match. So if you've bullet pointed it at the top and you've bullet pointed it at the bottom, thank you so much, because you make my life so much easier. But also we want to see recognizable third-party tools that are doing the measurement evaluation so that we can trust them. All of us have made Excel graphs. We all know how to fake them. Just because you put an Excel graph in there doesn't make me believe the answers. So make sure that you match your objectives to your goals. They're measurable, they're demonstrable as having a positive impact. And if you've bucked the industry trend, show that too. Show us the industry trend, show us you, and show us how much better you are.
Yeah, comparative stuff's really good because you're demonstrating that you are better. Aleida, what is it that really, really gets you excited when you're looking at this section?
I really like the putting things into context, because it makes all the difference. Because of course, some industries, the trend is, just because of the nature of the industry. Well, not anymore, unfortunately, because of COVID. But in general, many industries. Or imagine right now, if you were doing SEO or a campaign for one of those video conference type of system. So of course the traffic is going to go up. Of course the going to be more conversions, right? So it is very important that you put your wins into context. So this is what is happening in my market, and this is what I have achieved. So to show how of an outlier you are with your campaign. That on one hand. Then on the other hand, I really do believe that what Judith mentioned before regarding not showing an Excel that indeed you can fake or not, of course, but more importantly, to make it easier for us to understand what has been achieved from an ROI perspective. I will repeating myself a bit because this is true. I can't recall many times when I have seen 200% growth. Of what? Can you please remind me what, and then I go back to the objective and I cannot see a number. So I can compare it with, put into context, right? So it's critical that you are very, very clear in graphs using tools that we can all understand, that we can go back and validate just in case. That is super critical, I will say. And then last but not least, something that I really enjoy seeing are testimonials of clients. If you can go and ask your client to give a testimonial of how fantastic work you have done, something that, endorse your entry is even the better, right? In their own words, that you know, that we can see that is something that has been really meaningful business-wise for them, that goes beyond the normal type of results that anybody will be able to get.
Exactly. And I like to see results where people said, do you know what? We didn't even know this was going to happen. And look what happened. The unanticipated excellence is sometimes the thing that can distinguish you from the competition. So the stuff we know you wanted to achieve, that's really important. But sometimes the icing on the cake, the differentiator, can be those things that you did not anticipate. So make sure that you do that. So that's the sort of best campaign, best site awards. Now we're going to move on to awards which are about the application of something in pursuit of things. So we've got 6 categories here: the global best use of conversion optimization, CRM, data, personalization, user research, and global user experience awards. So let's have a quick reminder of what those are. There's nothing particularly unique about this category compared to some of the other ones, but one of the things I would say is don't just tell us what your tools or data do. We can probably read about them anywhere. What we really are interested in is, what is it that's a core benefit that's provided by this? What is it that's a feature of the tool or the data that you applied? What problems did you solve that no one else did, that's really unique? And if you've moved on from a previous iteration, tell us what new innovations are unique that have been incorporated into your use of this tool or this approach or this data. So we're really looking for different things here. This is quite a hard category for us to judge, because lots and lots of different kinds of things come in here. And I think that we really need to see a story really laid out in front of us so that we can go, do you know what? They've really done something different. I don't know if you've got any thoughts about that, Judith, in what we've seen in previous entries in other awards.
Well, I should, of course, do my best Vanna White, because this particular category has 60 possible points.
Yeah.
And so this is the highest possible number of points that you can get in a category is 60. So we have 6 categories you need to be focused on, unlike other entry sections. So you've got 6 here, which is overview of the application.
Yeah.
And this could easily be overlooked because it comes before your objectives, but this is an additional 10 points. So make sure you fill that out, because more often than not, we will see something not filled out and it gets 0 points. We can't even award a single point. So you've lost 1/6 of your points if you don't fill out the overview of the application. And then it's your traditional 50. So just make sure that both overview of application and why you think you should win are included, and you've still only got a limited number of words. So use your words wisely. Don't use supplemental documents to increase your word count. Give us big pictures if you need to, but don't use that to try to get around the word count limit. Make sure that you're sticking to it. And yes, this is incredibly difficult to assess, because it's going to be difficult to express in words what it is that makes it unique. But I think that whether it's your tool implementation, or the application of your tool, or the application of your data, once you get your head around that, you'll do an amazing job.
Absolutely. So I just want to move on to the next one, because there is a similarity. These are the awards for tools and technology, and there is some commonality with that previous application of entry. And we've got 9 categories here: global best personalization tool, best testing platform, best tracking platform. You can see these here. These are for people who produce these tools to present them to us to give a view on. And again, we have so many different tools that get you thinking, how is that one better than that one? Why is that different? So again, the messages really need to be clear here. And again, you've got certain parts of the message to get through. What are the points for this one, Judith?
I think whereas for application, that was a how, this is the what. So this is what makes your tool different and what makes your tool stand out. We see a lot of tools in search, whether it's PPC or SEO. And what we're looking for is what you've done that is different. So have you made a great monitoring app? That's one thing that's done really, really well. And here we've got about 30 points that we're looking at. So not only is it a tight category itself, but it's a tight field of how many points you can get. When it's only 30, each entry section counts. And then of course you've got to let us at least try the tool. So if we can see a demonstration of it, or even better, if we can put our own data in it, then we will get used to how it works, and you'll get that testing of the tool point suite as well.
Exactly.
So
I will say the two things. I always like to have like a video demo, pre-recorded demo. So of course the owner of the tool, who knows better how to use it and all the functionalities, first show the tool, and then we can access the tool, taking what we have already seen into consideration and play around with our own data. And potentially it is also really nice to have pre-populated data with historical information that we have more room to play with. That is very, very, very useful with this type of
Absolutely. If I can't see it, I'm not sure about the entry. I don't trust it. I always go, no, I need to have a play. Even if I spend 30 seconds there, at least I can prove it exists. I think that's really essential for me. So yeah, a kind of a dummy date is really important in some of these tools, as well as give us guest access, let us have a play around with it. If you're worried that we're going to break it, that's another problem. But we need to see it, and that later, the idea of you give us a run through yourself in a film, show it off, market it to us, so that we're thinking, I want to buy this. I'm really excited about it. Not only will I give it a top points, but we really need to be sold it. But again, talk about, don't just tell us what it does, give us the core benefits. What is the value that it creates in the mind of the user? What are the features that we are surprised about? That, wow, I did not know it did that. What problems does your tool solve that no other tool in your marketplace does? And that is what will allow it to stand out from the rest. And if you've evolved it from a previous iteration, let us know what the new innovations are, the differences from the old one, that we're really keen to see that this is something that isn't just built 10 years ago and people are carrying on using it. This is something that's a living thing and evolving for the benefit of its users. So now to one of my favorite sets categories, which is the awards where an agency or a team or an individual puts themselves up for scrutiny. Now, we've got 14 categories here, from best agency in various particular fields. We've got some big competitive fields in the best small, best large SEO agencies, the best in-house digital teams, the best small or large PPC teams. And we've got Global Freelancer of the Year, which is going to be a highly competitive category, because you as an individual are going to have to stand out against every other freelancer on the planet and put forward your case. So that's quite the one. Now, we're talking about, again, chalk and cheese, lots of very, very different kinds of people. So it's very important that you make it clear what the numbers of people involved are, what their roles are, identify any key individuals that are associated with those roles that are highlighted. So there may well be names or job titles that are very key to the success of this team. You need to bring those details out very early on. Now, recent work examples, these need to be really tight, concise case studies. So don't ramble on, tell us something really interesting. Again, you've got a word limit here that you need to adhere to. So we accept that you might want to show us examples, but be very careful you don't use all your words up. But don't just pile everything into an appendix as well. We're going to read the entry. It needs to stand on its own feet and then underpinned by additional things. Avoid using images to get around that word limit. It's the naughty thing, but use them to enhance the message. So, you know, let us know that this is really important. Now, again, the questions around that recent work, again, think about our advice about objectives, implementation, creativity, the results. You need a little condensed version of one of those bigger entries. But it does bring us to that question, and Judith and Leda, we've asked this in many previous judging sessions, is why are we reading about this here, but not in one of the categories? If it's not an entry in its own right, is it a good thing? I always have a doubt if you're talking about something when you're describing yourself as the best agency, but you haven't put an entry in elsewhere. Are you really the best agency? So what we're looking for is, how does a piece of recent work demonstrate your values as a team, as an organization? What are the roles that those individuals played in the success of those particular cases and those pieces of recent work? You don't get to talk about those in the other categories. So this is about the team and its contribution to success. So make sure those things are really clearly mentioned. I don't know if it gets your goat, Judith and Ada, but recent achievements, it should just be about winning all the other award ceremonies. Fantastic that you can win other awards. I like to see achievements that are about work. So what are the accolades that are bestowed upon your organization that aren't about entering an award? So have you had a unique achievement as a team or as an organization or as an individual that is not about necessarily being in this sector? Is there something you've got that is quite a challenge to achieve? Maybe you have become the most carbon literate organization in your country. You know, that could be something really important. Don't tell us that you've all suddenly got Google accreditation for something when everyone has to have it anyway. Give us some kind of certification you've achieved that would be hard for anyone within our business to achieve. And what unique things have you done as an organization that set you apart as an excellent member of your community, whether it's your sector or the country you live in or something like that? What do you do that makes your values as a team or an organization really stand out? What do you look for later when you're looking at a best team? What things really stand out for you?
It really resonated with me, that last part when you mentioned about the contribution and larger, bigger, broader type of achievements that you have obtained, not only purely the economical ones that you have. For example, we have grown the team like 200% in the last year, and we have won all of these clients, and our profits have jumped this. But also beyond that, what makes your organization so impactful, so positive, so unique, so much better than the rest? And that doesn't only come from the economical perspective, right? Of course, it's important to make money. That is the goal of a company. But is there anything else? What is your vision? What is your mission? How are you achieving something beyond that? How you are giving back to your community? I think that gives you definitely this additional insights about something extra, something else, something more powerful than just business.
Yeah. Judith, what do you look for in that category?
Absolutely the same thing. I'm looking for something that you've done outside of work. If the only thing that you're able to list is, well, we did all of this and we made money, then it's really not. Oh, and we had pizza on a Friday and we've got a beer fridge. And, we champion equality. Don't tell us how, just say you do. Or we all went on a charity run. Well, I need to know more. Why did you go on the charity run? Because it was something that was particularly personal to someone in the organization. What made your organization want to reach out beyond itself and do something bigger? We're looking for not just you have 6 people in staff speaking at conferences all over the world and you've won every award that you've entered. We want to see what you're doing that makes you stand apart. And it's those small things sometimes that will tip the balance in your favor for winning over also ran.
Yeah. For me, it's about being a good citizen. That's the thing. We expect a lot of the normal stuff, but the thing that sets your organization apart, because one day you're going to be recruiting new staff and they're going to be looking to see what sets you apart. And it isn't the beer fridge. You're absolutely right. It definitely is some of that much more softer stuff, transferable stuff that really shows your contribution to society. That's what gets people interested in you. So we are looking for those things as well. Around challenges. Now, I always like this one because whenever it's an SEO agency, they always tell us how much hard work that latest Google algorithm changes. Tell me about a challenge that none of us else have had to put up with. You know, tell us something unique you have faced that has, allowed you to sort of to deal with something quite hard. So a great example I had was one of the agencies we looked at. They were literally thrown out of their business premises on Christmas Eve, and they had to be up, live and operational on New Year's Day. So between Christmas Eve and New Year's Day, the challenge was, how do you move that number of people into new business premises and be up and running so that your client base went, oh, did you have a good Christmas? And you went, of course we did. That for me is what's really, really important. And the impact of that challenge, how did it change you as an organization? Did it do something really positive? Is it something that you learned from? Those are really important things that we really like to see. What other things do you like to see as challenges? Are there any sort of notable examples that you've seen in the past where you thought, wow, they've had to deal with something?
Yeah, it makes me remind me, Judith, I don't know if you remind this because you were also a judge last year at the US Search Awards. Remember the Sears entry, and they ended up winning. That was amazing because they went through very tough times at an organization perspective. The people went through moments that they even didn't know if they were going to be kept in the organization, and even like that they achieved growth. So I can see many entries coming, especially during these tough times of challenging times of coronavirus, of course. So that is what makes all the difference, when you show that despite all of the challenges that are outside your own control and that are especially tough, you are able to win and also pursue something meaningful and achieve something much more meaningful than the usual too. Yeah,
exactly. And I think it's the uniqueness of the challenge is what really makes judges sit up and have a look and think, oh, these people have had to deal with something that is quite outside our normal experience. So our favorite piece of criteria is, why should you win? So everyone has to tell us, convince us that this is the entry that we should make win. And we might be looking at, in one of these categories, 100 entries. Certainly some of these categories are very, very competitive. So we want to know why we should pick yours. What is it, after everything you've told us, why should we pick yours? Why not the others? What makes us really want to pick yours? I mean, it should be jumping out. So I don't want to be satisfied with an entry. I want to be delighted by this last statement, which makes me think, gosh, that is really convincing. This is, tell me about the one-offness, the uniqueness. This is your chance to sell yourself. Make it easy for us as judges to buy. And we award points. We do. There are 10 points, Judith, is that right?
Yep,
so
between 1 and 10.
Yeah, we will say, yeah, that is completely compelling, or not. We don't have to think about why you should win. We need to be sold that idea very quickly.
And just be careful not to leave it out, because we've had entries come in with sections blank.
Exactly.
So make sure that you have filled out all of the sections that are relevant for your category. Otherwise, you'll lose points. You're leaving the opportunity to win on the table.
Absolutely. So it's time now for some of our judges' tricks and tips for winning an award. So, Judith, you're very, very keen to talk about the supporting collateral. So tell us a little bit about this.
So never, ever, 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 ever use this to get around the word count, because I will give you no points. Everywhere you try to refer me to this supplemental information, which has reams and reams and reams of words on it, I will dock you points because you've gone over the word limit. And it's not fair. it's not fair to do that when somebody else stuck to the rules. So if you do refer to any collateral, it should not be to avoid going over the word count. It should be to enhance something. So let's say you've got very tiny pictures that you've embedded in the entry. You can refer us to a larger version in the supplemental, and you just say larger images are in the supplementals. We will check your URLs. We will put them into tools. We will check through guest access to log into tools and to look at the way that you've done things. So we're going to scrutinize what you give us. Don't think that you just put it down and we never look at it. We absolutely do. So it could make the difference between you winning and you not winning. This is a winners take all game. It's not, you know, second place, third place, fourth place, fifth place, 72nd place. We don't all get a ribbon in this game. It's all or nothing. So make sure that you're referring us to something that augments, but doesn't try to circumvent.
I think that this is something very, very important, that of course you use and you leverage collateral and supporting documentation, but without the goal of trying to overlook or not use the actual forms that you should use for the entries, because it, on one hand, because of doing it so, you might leave something out. I have seen these cases, just because using another format, etc., they left something very important that will have been obvious that they needed to fill it. They have used the proper form. That is also very critical. So it should be something that adds up and complements rather than replace, I will say. I think this is important.
Exactly. And the thing that everyone should remember is that most of us are not graphic designers, developers, all these things. So if we have to be worried about a very technical detail in an entry which is not about technical details, the game's lost. So we know this is about people making a judgment about an entry, and it is the entry that wins. It's what we look at. Everything else is supporting that entry, and I think that's absolutely critical. Judith, you're going to say it again. Fill in everyone. Fill in every section.
Fill in every section, absolutely. I mean, we're judging these because we're experts in our field. So if you leave something out, we might understand what you've done, but we can't award you the points just because we understand. You have to show us what you're doing. So make sure that you've checked that you've actually filled everything out, because if you haven't, you're going to lose us. Also, we are experts, so please, we've just said we're not developers. Some of us are developers. We're not graphic designers. I don't think anybody on the judging panel is a professional graphic designer. But you don't need to tell us that the reason why you did X, Y, and Z is because in SEO we do this. You've just wasted your word count. And if you go over, you will be docked points by a lot of judges. So make sure that you're being concise. You're not using too much jargon. You keep in mind that you're going to be speaking to an SEO person or a PPC person who is a leader in their field, and so they understand these things, which is why we ask you to inspire us in the inspiration section and not just explain that you did keyword research, because it's important to understand user needs.
Yeah, I think it's worth emphasizing that in each category, somebody from your industry or from your vertical, at least one person is going to be in that group judging you. So do not try and trick us, because they will go, I know this. This is all rubbish. It's not true at all. None of this is true. So you cannot just use marketing speak or jargon to try and get past us. We need it to be clear and simple to understand, because we've got a lot of entries to get through. So, and somebody who is a leader in your field may well be looking at your work and thinking, okay, they are the people that you need to convince. Aleda, spelling, is that important?
So you know what? Realistically, it really pains me how you can kill an otherwise amazing entry by showing that you didn't took proper care to fill it, that you have and I understand. I mean, I am not a native English speaker, so of course it takes me sometimes a little bit more effort to double check, validate. If you are not a native English speaker, also I will recommend to have a native person to verify, validate that is well worded, that sometimes term that means something in your language, might not necessarily mean the same in English. So it is important to just double check. This is critical because it shows if you are taking this seriously enough or not. Definitely.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I would say, don't get your PR company to write your entry. We can always tell because we always look to who's written the entry, who's put it in. Unless you are a PR company writing an entry about your PR company, you need to write it. You need to put the person who's in charge of this needs to write it. The one who is closest to the problem, closest to providing the solution, that person needs to write it because it's all about the truth and the heart. And I've seen many entries put in by PR companies and they don't really know what really went on. They don't really know everything. And it might be beautifully written, but it just simply isn't compelling. And on that basis, because you've got to do it, and maybe you've got to get all these people to help you check it and provide you with information, give yourself lots of time. Don't do this the night before because it's not going to win. It never has. We can tell the night before entries. Make it a business objective. We are going to enter this awards and win it, and put some time and resource behind it, because if you're successful, it's something that you can shout about to your clients and to your bosses and so on. So it should be a proper job and not something that is a bit of a last minute thought. So we've got about 10 minutes left and we'd love to take some questions. We've got some questions already in the Q&A. So if you have a question you want to put into the Q&A chat, please do that. First one is from Mubin. It's, will a recording be provided for this? And I can see a red light flashing off. I'm not controlling the event, but the red light flashing makes me think it's definitely been recorded. So I guess Don't Panic will be sharing this along their channels after the event. Camille asks, in the budget section, should we give an exact quota that we paid for manpower, or an equivalent of use time is okay? Often when we're applying, we don't know people's costs because that's held by HR and kept confidential. How would you answer that one, Alida? How should someone represent the cost of something if they don't necessarily know?
Honestly, like the more specific it is, the more granular it is, that shows the actual effort that it has taken, the resources that it has taken, the best it is. So sometimes you cannot say like a specifically accurate 100% final number because of whatever reason. At least give a reference. And so this amount of hours and the average cost per hour is this in this industry or for this type of professional, but give us at least an estimate. I think that it is important to be able to assess how much from an investment perspective it has taken. I have seen many times, especially for tools developments or some scripts or automation type of entries that says, 3 developers have time. What is that? If they are in the US also, it's very likely that how much you spend on them is different than if you are, let's say, I don't know, in China or in India or in Pakistan, right? So it's important that you give a reference to be able to assess well and to put that also in a context on how much return of investment, how much return the campaign has gotten, to be able to actually be able to verify and to identify the ROI, right? That the bottom, the actual profit that has been made with the campaign.
And I think if you don't have the absolute numbers, then you're going to have to give us estimations. And that's particularly true for entries where people have done almost like a side project for a client and they said, oh, well, the cost was embedded in work we were already doing. And I'm saying, well, but did you spend 100 hours doing this? What do you think the cost of that 100 hours is? Because we do need to see the cost so we can establish the bang per buck. We need to see it. It's absolutely essential so that we can see that return on investment of time. And it is a monetary figure that we're looking for. I'm not sure if anyone else has got any questions. We haven't seen any more pop up on the Q&A at the moment. But with that in mind, thanks for joining us, folks. Just to give you a few important pieces of information, the SaaS Virtual Roundtable is free. So registration and engagement on that is free. For the Global Digital Excellence Awards, the entry deadline is the 22nd of May. And if you No, it's not. That's a complete lie. I'm telling a big fake. If you enter the awards before the 22nd of May, it's £100 plus VAT to enter. After the 22nd of May, it's £150 plus VAT. Very important to note, 20% of all entry revenue will go to the COVID-19 Solidarity Response Fund. So that's all of us judges, and don't panic, that's our contribution to society. It's a broader thing. So whenever we enter something somewhere else, best event management company in the world, don't panic, we'll be putting that in there, why you should choose us. So existing clients will receive one complimentary entry as a thank you for their ongoing support, and you'll be sent an exclusive discount code to apply at the checkout. So have a look carefully at the site entry details for more information about that. So get that form moving now. Don't leave it till the night before. As I tell all of my students, start your homework today. Don't forget, if you're involved in the search sector, that the Global Search Awards deadline is Thursday, the 7th of May. Get your entries in. You'll have learned a lot of lessons from tonight's session that will inform that particular piece. Any last minute thoughts, Aleida?
Well, I am more than happy to have been able to contribute to answer a little bit of the questions, concerns, doubts. So thank you very much for having me. And then on the other hand, I have to say, if you are in doubt, just in case, if you are at the last moment, like feeling something and you are in doubt if do more or less, always do more. Yeah. Always add more, right? Oh, I don't know if it is necessary that I specify this or I add this. It's better to do more. It will never hurt, right? So give that extra mile just in case, because, you know, as Judith mentioned before, you know, the winner takes it all. So the more you can show up there, the best it is.
And if you're worried about, oh, we shouldn't do this, we'll never win. You'll never know if you don't enter. You need to enter to find out. And remember that when we're doing these judging sessions, we provide quite a lot of information about how we've come to our decision. So there's quite a lot of feedback that can be gained. So if, for example, you're not shortlisted, you could say to us, can I find out some information about that? Or if you don't win, can I find out some information that tells me where I went wrong, what I would need to do to improve next time? So we can give you those pieces of information very easily after the event. So please don't be put off from entering. If anything, enter everything and try and win something. But you do need to do that. You can't win. You've got to be in it to win it. You've got to definitely get that. Any last minute thoughts from you, Judith?
Make sure you remove track changes and comments from your Word documents before submitting them.
Exactly.
Because we've seen those and things like, are you sure we should be saying this? Never leave comments like that in your award entry. And always make sure that you've double checked and triple checked, because I've seen industry leaders enter awards and miss sections. So people who I know personally who have messed things up. So it's not just amateurs that mess things up, pros mess them up. So please don't think that it's, you know, irrelevant to do that one last check. Always do that one last check to make sure that everything is spot on.
And the big boys don't always win. In fact, the big boys don't often win. It is about the entry and the quality of the work that you're showing us. Well, Aleida, Judith, thanks for joining me tonight, and thanks for everyone who's joined us to listen into our webinar. We hope we're going to see a fantastic number of entries from you soon. But with that, I'm going to bring our proceedings to a close, and I look forward to seeing everyone very soon. So thanks a lot, folks, and see you all soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.